I'm not here to bash the Cleveland Browns. In fact, I actually like what they did in the 2026 NFL Draft. They added protection, they added weapons, they added depth across the roster. This looks like a team that finally understands how to build the right way. But there's one honest question we still have to ask. Who is the quarterback? Because this is where I think people get it twisted. You could like a team's draft. You can respect the direction and still admit there are unanswered questions. And for Cleveland, it's not about talent. It's about clarity. Let's start with what they did right. The Browns didn't panic. They didn't reach. They built a roster. Here are the key picks. Cleveland looked at the offense and said, we are done letting the quarterback get hit. Look at number 55. Spencer Fano isn't just a pick. He's a statement. Elite pass protection traits, strong base, doesn't get walked back, high football IQ, understands angle and leverage. This is a plug-and-play tackle. Let's be real. The Browns didn't take him at 9 to develop him slowly. They took him to start immediately. Because everything about this draft says one thing. They're trying to fix the offense from the trenches out. And Fano is the foundation of that. And if your QB situation isn't locked in, protection comes even more important. You could tell what the Browns are trying to do. They're building an offense that can actually function consistently. Better protection, more separation at receiver, more options at tight end, and stronger interior line. Look at number 58. Now this is where it gets interesting. Austin Barber is not just depth. This is insurance. Strong hands, physical run blocker, plays with an edge, and toughness. You don't draft 2 tackles unless you know your protection was a problem. This tells me Cleveland isn't hoping to improve. They're making sure it happens. Because if one guy goes down, Barber steps in. That's how you build a real offensive line. And this might be the most underrated pick of this entire draft. Number 72, Parker Brailsford. Brings something Cleveland desperately needed. Stability. High IQ center, quick off the snap, strong communicator. The center is the quarterback of the offensive line. He sets protections, he reads the defense, he keeps everything organized. So when you draft a guy like this, you're not just adding a player, you're upgrading the entire unit's communication. And that matters way more than people realize. Casey Conception is the most dynamic weapon they added. This is not your typical wide receiver. Explosive after the catch, elite quickness in short areas, dangerous on screens, slants, and motion plays. This is a scheme weapon. Cleveland didn't just need receivers. They needed someone who could create easy yards. Because when your offense struggles, you need guys who could turn a 5-yard play into 20. That's KC. He changes how defense is lined up. Now, Denzel Boston is a perfect contrast to KC. Different skill set, same impact. Bigger frame, contested catch ability, red zone presence. This is your go-get-it receiver. So now Cleveland has speed and separation in KC, size and physicality with Boston. That's balance. They didn't just add receivers. They added different types of weapons. And that's how you stress the defense. Joe Royer is one of those picks that casual fans overlook, but coaches love. Reliable hands, solid blocker, moves well for his size. This is your balance piece. Blocking, short routes, red zone presence. He's not flashy, but he makes your offense function. And when you combine him with everything else they added, now Cleveland can run multiple looks without tipping their hand. That's how you build a complete offense. Now, this is one of those low-key picks that matter more than people think. Versatility, can play deep, box, rotate in 3 safety looks, physical presence, brings tackling and downhill energy, instincts, reacts fast, doesn't hesitate. Cleveland didn't just draft him to be a star on day 1. They drafted him to be ready. And this guy, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Because in today's NFL, you don't survive with just 2 safeties anymore. You need depth. You need flexibility. You need guys who could step in without the defense falling apart. And this is exactly that type of player. These are the picks that don't trend, but show up in December. This wasn't just a talent draft. This was a depth draft. This is what you do when your offense struggled. You don't just blame everything on the quarterback. You fix everything around him. And Cleveland clearly made that priority. But here's when you have to be honest. We still don't know who the starting quarterback is. And that's not a shot at anybody. That's just reality. Right now, the Browns have Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel, and Taylen Green. That's not a lock-in QB1. That's a competition. Let's start with the name everyone knows, Deshaun Watson, because everything Cleveland does this season revolves around one question. Which version are you getting? Pre-2020 elite playmaker or inconsistent, injury-affected quarterback? The truth is, it hasn't been stable, and that's the problem. Because when you invest this much into a quarterback, the expectation isn't solid. It's franchise-changing. Now here's the interesting part. This draft, this wasn't built to replace Watson. This was built to remove excuses. Better protection, more weapons, more structure. So now, if the offense struggles, it's not the line. It's not the receivers. All eyes go back to him. Now this is where things get interesting. Shedeur Sanders. Because this isn't just a backup quarterback. This is pressure. Accurate passer, confident decision maker, plays with control and poise. And let's be real, he's coming in with expectations, not from the team, but from the outside. Fans are going to want to see him. And if Watson struggles early, this conversation changes fast. Because Shedeur isn't sitting, he's waiting. Then you got Dillon Gabriel. And this is a completely different type of quarterback. Quick release, high production in college, mobile and creative. But here's the concern. Size, arm strength, translation to the NFL. Gabriel is the type of quarterback that has to win with timing and rhythm. He's not overpowering defenses, he's outsmarting them. So in this room, he's not the favorite, but he's absolute competition. And then there's Taylen Green, the long-term project. Elite athleticism, big arm potential, raw mechanics. This is your upside play. He's not ready right now, but if he develops, you could be looking at the most physically gifted quarterback in the room. The question is, can Cleveland develop him? Because the tools are there. It's just about putting it all together. The Browns don't have a bad quarterback room. They just don't have a clear one yet. So what is this quarterback room really telling us? It's telling us Cleveland doesn't really trust this situation. Because if they did, they wouldn't bring in this many different options. This is insurance. This is competition. This is we're not going down with one guy. And that's smart. But it also tells you everything you need to know. Because right now, the Browns don't have certainty. They have possibilities. And this is why I actually like what Cleveland did. Because instead of forcing a quarterback pick early, they built the team. So now, whoever wins the job has protection, has weapons, and has a real chance to succeed. That's smart football. So here's my honest take. The Cleveland Browns had a really good draft. They built the roster the right way. They added talent across the board. But until we know who the quarterback is, we can't fully judge how far this team can go. Because in the NFL, everything comes back to that position. This is DRDTakes. And I want to know, who do you think should start for quarterback for the Browns? Because right now, that decision might decide their entire season. Thank y'all for watching, and God bless.